Hello and welcome back to the Littlest PetCast. I am your host James, and today we are going over the episode Bake It Till You Make It. So we begin at Sweet Delights, where Blythe is talking to young me about the book she just read, Famished Fest, Insulting Falcon, which, you know what, already off to a pretty good start. Already off to that. So she wants to talk about it with young me, but then Aunt Christie comes in and force feeds them some of her new extra sticky taffy. She asks how it is, and Blythe is not really excited by it, so Christie gets back to work. Blythe asks what's going on, and young me explains that since a lot of new sweet shops are opening up in downtown city, Christie thinks she needs to up her game. Blythe assures young me that Aunt Christie is amazing and that Sweet Delights is here to stay, and that something totally new would have to pop up to even make a dent. Right on cue, a different sweets truck pulls up and a line immediately forms for Take It to the Sweets, which already, this episode is filled with so many of these good little punchy things. I'm just gonna say that up front. These good little punches, and this episode is filled with them. Young me points out that this is exactly the kind of thing Blythe is talking about. So after the theme song, Christie is still freaking out about her recipes, and young me is worried about her. Blythe thinks to investigate the competition. Young me wants to tell Christie, but after hearing her scream some more, they decide not to tell her, or at least tell her later. So, meanwhile, Sunil is video conferencing with his parents with a tie on, and at the same time, Pepper is wearing a helmet with a camera on it, asking Zoe to pose, which she gladly does. Pepper is amazed by this pet cam her owners installed on her to see what she sees. That might be a problem for Blythe if she decides to talk to the pets, although they seem to sidestep this in this episode because Blythe is in the A plot while the pet cam and Pepper are in the B plot. Sunil asks his parents to hold on and asks Pepper and Zoe to leave, which they eventually do. Sunil starts talking to his parents again, and they say he has to get back to the hospital, and Vinnie is passing by and comes up to the video conference and asks if Sunil is sick and needs an operation. His parents laugh it off and say he's the one giving operations since he's a doctor. Vinnie is confused and says Sunil doesn't work at the hospital. Sunil salvages it by saying if you like your job, it's not work, which his father agrees with. Again, this episode is filled with so many of these little good punches, and I love it. So Vinnie tries to explain what's really going on, but Sunil shuts him up and says goodbye to his parents. Vinnie demands an explanation, and Sunil explains that he told his parents he was a doctor. Vinnie asked why, and Sunil says it's because it makes his parents happy. Sunil says that they were never suspicious of anything until now, and they need to think of a way to convince his parents that he's a doctor still. Sunil asks if Zoe can cough on command, and Zoe says it's the first thing they teach you in acting school. She does it, and Sunil has an idea. So, let's talk for a moment here. So this is one of those episodes where you really need to play its game if you want to enjoy it. You really need to be in the headspace of the writing staff for this episode. You need to play along because these are notes I was taking for when I'm not totally playing along, because usually when I'm watching something, I'm usually willing to play in its headspace. But, like, for the purposes of this show, I do have to take a step back sometimes and think about things. So, like how it might seem weird for a pet to have a job in this universe, but pets have some jobs like actor and police dog, which are regular dog jobs. Usually there are police dogs and there are actor dogs. And there was a doctor dog, but he wasn't really a doctor. No, he just kind of hung out at the vet. It is, I can't quite put it past them that a pet would have a job, but it is still odd, because, like, at the end of the day, they're still pets. Like, I don't know how much a pet can know about being a doctor. It's weird, but, like, for the sake of this episode, we can play along with this idea. It is odd, but a little more strange is that we're heading back to good old-fashioned casual racism station, because, like, the whole gag of Indian parents wanting their child to be a doctor or something else prestigious does smack a little bit like stereotypical at the very least. It is, like, it's not a... Okay. So removing they're supposed to be Indian out of it, it's still, like, a good idea for a gag. It is something you can write an episode about. But, like, the fact that they are Indian charges it a little in a way that it wouldn't otherwise. Although I guess the same could be said for, like, Japanese or Chinese people. But, like, I don't know, and it is odd that is the case, but I'm not an expert on, you know, what is racism and what is not. But it just does seem like it. It's just this really puts this whole episode to a stop, because I was rolling, like, before this. But you know what? That's what happens. We stop. We stopped at casual racism stations. That usually puts a stop on things. So it is a good idea for a story, and I think it's executed well. It's just charged in a way that, like, some people might find not great. That is the, like, beginning, middle, and end of my opinion. Like, I'm sure, like, an expert on race could have a better opinion on this, but they aren't hosting this podcast, and I didn't bring one on because I really don't know one personally, and I don't think they would want to, because they would probably have bigger things to worry about at the moment. All right, let's pull out. Let's pull out a casual racism station. We'll keep the episode train going, and boy does it go, because Blythe and Young Me make it in to take it to the suites after going through the line and look around, and it is a Candytopia with candies from around the world. Young Me is worried about Sweet Delights and Aunt Christie, but Blythe thinks that it's all sizzle and no steak. And she picks up a random box to try and prove a point. And she says she's not impressed with Japanese fire rainbow fudge until she sees some younger kids burping fire rainbow. And Young Me says she sees no steak, but a lot of candy. Blythe says that they need to report back, but then grab some of the fire rainbow fudge for research. Alright, just a quick loop around back to Casual Racing Station for a bit. Japanese things are weird. A little. I mean, they can be for certain, but like, and anything can be weird if you switch it up enough. It's just one of those things. Like I live in Wisconsin, and that can be weird sometimes. Like, you know, it's just different cultures. So pulling out for good this time. So Sunil's plan begins. He's using Pepper's pet cam to film a video letter to show off some of his doctoring to his parents. Sunil begins, and he explains he's in a hospital going to meet with a patient who is Zoe, pretending to be a patient. So after a little bit of a meeting, he tells her she has the flu and tells her to go rest, drink plenty of fluids, and have a pet treat. And Zoe says that she feels better already. All of this is stiff, and even more so when he tries to end it, but Pepper doesn't call cut right away. And Vinnie asks if he needs a second take, and Sunil thinks he can fix it in editing and walks off. So Vinnie then asks Zoe and Pepper if they've seen Dr. Abode MD, which, great. I love it. I keep telling you, full of these little punches. Japanese fire rainbow fudge, also a nice little punch. Just all of that. He says that there's a different medical emergency every week. Vinnie says that Sunil's video doesn't capture the energy of a hospital. And then Pepper asks, you mean like a fake TV hospital? And then he's like, yeah, we can spruce it up. You in? Pepper says she wants to put her pet cam through the paces, and Zoe's up for being in a drama. Vinnie says he has a grander plan in mind than just the three of them. So, back at the A-plot, Blythe and Young Me walk back into Sweet Delights, and Christie wonders where they went. She sees the fire rainbow fudge and accuses them of going to take it to the sweets. They try to deny it, but the rainbow fire they burp tells a different story. Christie is disappointed, but they say it's for research. Christie thinks that she should just give up, but Young Me says that people still like Sweet Delights. Okay, one of my favorite jokes from this episode's right here. So Christie points out that the only people who are here are us, the mailman, Buttercream, and that creepy guy who has a crush on me but doesn't buy anything. And all three of them go like, ew. Man, that is just a really solid joke. Like, oh man, like, it's funny because it's true and also a little sad that this is true. But like, oh man, that's a good joke. That is a good joke. So Christie says that the competition's gotten into her head and she's lost all of her mojo. Blythe thinks she has a way of getting her mojo back. Young Me asks if she knows a sweets guru, and Blythe says she does. So, back in the pen shop, Sunil is trying to edit his video with like little graphics to help emphasize his points, but he doesn't like how it's turning out. Vinnie asks how it's going, and Sunil says the only thing this video would convince his parents of is that he is bad at making videos. So Vinnie asks him to come along, and Sunil does, and he presents Sunil with a hospital set, saying that if he's going to do this, he's got to do it well. Better sets, better patients, which we see Zoe coming in asking for help for her baby, Minka. Better co-workers. Penny comes in as another doctor with a toy bone saw, which she says is just like the real thing. This is great. I love it. They get so excited over this toy bone saw. And Vinnie adds the last touch, and that is Sunil isn't Sunil. He's Dr. Nevla, MD. Russell gives him a doctor's coat, and Sunil is ecstatic about this and wonders why he didn't think of this idea before, and thanks Vinnie. Russell says that he could just be honest with his parents instead of going through this whole rigmarole, but Vinnie says he's just jealous because the only part left was delivery room nurse, which another good little joke. These little jokes are great. So Christie is having young me trying out her new concoction, frosting spackle with caramel. Young me says it tastes more like spackle than it does frosting, and then Christie thinks she should hang up her apron. Blythe tells her not to because her cousin is here. Her cousin, celebrity chef Bobby Destructo, host of Bake It Down. They are only distant cousins by marriage, as Bobby explained. But still, they do list off the exact things, but I didn't want to write that down. They're distantly related. So Bobby does some work and inspects the place. He says it has everything you would want out of a good old-fashioned sweet shop. Christie takes it as a compliment, but Bobby says that sweet shops need to be modernized. He asks about some treats, and Christie says that she has her specialty right here. They are never the same twice cookies. So, Bobby says, no, they need to work on it. And he asks what time it is, and Blythe wants to answer, but Bobby answers first with, it's time to bake it down. He then proceeds to destroy the store and then asks Blythe and young me to rebuild it. Rebuild it as the new and improved Sweet Delights with a Z. And Blythe is a little confused. And Bobby's like, haven't you seen my show before? This is what I do. And Blythe is like, I may have missed a few episodes. So he's going to work on a new recipe with Christie in the kitchen while the two teenagers fix the store. So, meanwhile, the pets begin working on their Dr. Abode-inspired video for Sunil's parents. Yeah. So, Sunil begins the video by saying he feels a medical emergency is happening soon, and Penny comes up and saying that there's a mother with a sick baby. Sunil wonders how he always knows. He asks her to be sent in, but Zoe doesn't want to come in, and Vinnie calls cut. Vinnie asks what's wrong, and Zoe says that no one will believe that she's Minka's mother. Vinnie asks if it's because they're of different species, and Zoe says no, it's because Zoe is too young to be a mother, which maybe, but I guess they're also acting, but it doesn't matter. I just gotta play in this space if I want to enjoy this episode, which I kind of do. This episode has plenty to offer. It is there is stuff to do. So Vinnie is exhausted and he wants to take it from the top. He also gives some advice to Penny, but Penny doesn't take it well and cries off the set. They need someone else to start the scene, and Vinnie calls for the male nurse, and Russell complains, "It's male nurse. Why can't it just be nurse?" So they begin again, but Pepper's battery dies out, and she needs to get a new one, and Vinnie is frustrated. If this is supposed to be a pet cam, why do the batteries die out? Although, why is it also recording? And also, do they trust Pepper to change out the batteries? Like, it makes no sense if we're supposed to believe that people don't know pets are as competent as they are, which they might. It's just a matter of whether or not they can speak to them, which Blythe and her mom are the only known people who can. But, I mean, competency and speech are two different sets of skills. So, I don't know, you can train a pet to do this sort of stuff, and if they have the ability to do stuff anyway, they could probably be taught how to change batteries. So, okay, I guess I answered that question. So, Bobby is working with Christie to the bone on moon pies and talking about exact measurements, and Christie says she's more of a bake by feel type. Bobby says that she needs to modernize and get moving because they're making dairy-based moon pies, and points to a picture of a cow, and he is liking his own humor. So he instructs Christie to continue while he checks on how the girls are doing. He catches Blythe resting and yells at her not to, but Blythe says that they finished and they have sweet delights ready for business. And it's great. It's just like I know Bobby says he wants it modern, but this is like they have a disco ball. It is 70s as heck. I am looking at a picture of it, but that's only because I also need work on the getting the episode cards for when these go up on YouTube. And it is 70s as heck, but it looks great. And I guess it's like everything old is new again kind of thing. And Bobby says that the Z makes it modern. So Blythe readies the customers, but they're still all at take it to the suites. Bobby says that promotion is needed and pulls out a cupcake costume. So Blythe and Young Me laugh at it because it's ridiculous and say it won't fit Bobby. And Bobby says, "You're right, it won't fit me." Blythe picks up on what Bobby is saying and then asks, "Can't we just do coupons?" So, outside, Blythe is in the cupcake costume and begins rapping, and everyone laughs, and she packs it in. So, Christie, Young Me, and Bobby are stressed, and Christie thinks of giving up, and Bobby says that this would be his first failure if she did. He wouldn't want to hear what he'll get from the kitchen Commodore, and he says he hates that guy. So Blythe says she failed to drum up business, but Young Me points out that people came in. Blythe thinks that it's them wanting to laugh some more, but Christie says, "Who cares? Let's welcome everyone." So the dance music starts up, and Bobby and Blythe start dancing. Meanwhile, Chris tries selling her and Bobby's moon pies, but people are too distracted by the dancing. The building then falls apart, and then everyone leaves. Bobby asks what happened, and Blythe says, "I don't know, we followed your instructions to the letter. I guess frosting spackle doesn't make good spackle either." Which, a nice little comeback. That's a good old boomerang punch. That is great. So, Christie really thinks she's ruined in this moment, and Blythe brings back her never the same twice cookies. Bobby says that they're all news, but Blythe force feeds him some, and he now says that they were the best thing ever. Bobby invites everyone, and the cookies sell loads. Young Me says that Christie is back, and Bobby is impressed that a quaint, old-fashioned sweet shop is the new thing. He wonders what's going to happen to the old new thing. So take it to the sweets with no customers, just leaves. That just leaves, and that ends the A plot. The rest is on the B plot. So Dr. Nevla continues as Sunil continues to assure his parents he's a doctor, and his fellow doctor, Penny, is there with him. Russell says that there's an emergency, and Sunil goes to investigate. And Sunil asks male Nurse Ferguson, just Nurse Ferguson, what's the matter? And then Russell presents patient Minka and lists off some medical stats, to which Sunil says, those are indeed numbers. Sunil gets the bone saw and prepares to operate. Everything I'm saying is just gold. It is just gold. So, in the present, because they're watching this, Vinnie turns away because he can't stand the sight of fake blood. So, they are watching it on a laptop, and Blythe asks, like, didn't you direct this scene? And then Vinnie says, yeah, but I had my eyes closed. And Pepper takes credit for filming this scene. Oh boy, this is all amazing. And I love it. Sunil thanks everyone for helping out to convince his parents that he's a doctor. Everyone else now sees Sunil's parents behind him, and Sunil continues about how he's been fooling his parents and how he's not a doctor. And then Blythe points Sunil towards his parents, and he is shocked. And like he's like in disarray. But then Russell jumps in and says that while he isn't a doctor, there's still plenty of things to be proud of, and everyone vouches for Sunil, like how great of a guy he is, and how he has a lot of friends. And his parents do say that they are proud, just disappointed. Also, his dad has a hip thing he thought could get looked at, which is a nice little joke. And Sunil apologizes, saying that he shouldn't have lied. And, they make up and have a good moment. And his parents say they do want to watch the rest of that film. And his mom proclaims, my son, future director. And Sunil smiles nervously, ending the episode. So, as I've said before, this episode is really good once you're willing to play along with what it is. Like, it doesn't make sense, but it is not supposed to. It is weird. It is ridiculous. It is trying to be that, and it succeeds. It's just goofy from, like, top to bottom. Like, frosting spackle, an obvious Bobby Flay, like, impersonation thing. Like every little beat is great. I love Bobby Destructo. I love Dr. Abode. All of the little like one-liners and stuff are really great. Everything about this episode is just fun, and and describing it only makes it a little more fun for me, and I hope it's a little more fun for you. But man, I should have, like, Bobby Destructo. I can't get over that. I can't get over, like, Bobby Destructo. It's just so intriguing. But that will be it for this episode of the Littlest PetCast. Be sure to leave your comments and reviews on Shout Engine, on Apple Podcasts, on the Google Play Store, and wherever else RSS feeds go when they need to bake it down. And be sure to tune in for the next episode, LPS the Musical. More mooing, I guess. I will see you then.